Gotta know where you place your foot. If you're playing music, playing the guitar, playing the piano, it's about finger placement. You're doing keyboarding, it's about finger placement. You gotta know where your fingers are going. If you want the message to come out right, you gotta get your placement right. We want this to come out right. You gotta know where your heart is. Where's your heart? And your hope. Where's your hope? For hope's in things, when things change and your hope's gone. But if your hope is anchored in Jesus. It looked like it was all over when he was hanging on that cross. He was all bloody. Crown of thorns, his back was beaten with bloody pulp. He had a gaping hole in his side, and it looked like, well, he's done. He's done. They came and carried him away and put him in the tomb, sealed it up, and put guards on it. Looked like it's done. But he said something about a third day. Third day. He said that they're going to kill me. I'll suffer many things at the hands of the chief priests and elders. He said, I'm going to rise. I'll rise on the third day. Friday night didn't look too good. Sunday morning didn't look too good. Or Saturday morning didn't look too good. Saturday night looked pretty hopeless. On Sunday morning, something happened. You got to be real careful what you say, because time rolls around, you got to produce something. You can advertise, then you got to produce. Somebody said you might get by and charm for a few minutes, then you got to produce something. Talk might sound good, but you better have something to show for it. So on that Sunday morning, Jesus came walking out of that tomb. Angel came down, rolled the stone away. And those soldiers, the keepers, they came like dead men, fell over on the ground. You know, a lot of people, they're trying to conjecture about God, whether He exists. Does this happen or that happen? And you can conjecture all you want, but it won't solve anything until you find where to place your hope. People are good looking around and say, man, life is rough. Everything I've ever put my hope in is gone. Car wore out. The house burned down sometimes. Family members die. Friends are gone. Where do you put your trust? Where do you put your hope? Jobs come and go. Even people had a good job, good paying job. Come in one day and they make an announcement, closing business. Happened a lot of times. Banks closed. It could be rough. I lived next door to Dundee Cement, and then they sold it out to Holcim, Swiss-based company. One day they went into work and they spent a lot of money there. People made good money. They said, closing the door. Demand is down. And all of a sudden, I went in and hauled dumpsters in there, and they cut up big old cables, electric cables, you know. threw it in the dumpster. Scrapped it out. It's pretty sad. Pretty sad. Good paying job put down the river. You got to figure out where you're going. My hope is anchored in Jesus. It's good to have people you can count on, depend on. We want to be somebody people can depend on. You know, you go to work. I remember working in Troy. Monday morning was always up in the air. You never knew. You were going to show up or not. I called the owner and said, well, nobody showed up. He said, well, I'll try to get somebody out there to help. When you're trying to run a shift or something, you kind of want people to show up. Sometimes people just don't show up. You got to scramble around, got to figure out how to make it work. But I love the words Abraham said. When God called on him, he said, here I am. And I hope that's what we'll say. God called and said, here I am. God called on Abraham. He said, Abraham, I want you to offer your son, Isaac. One I promised you, the one I gave you in your old age. I want you to take him and offer him for a sacrifice. Abraham said, behold, here I am. 3 days later, he's up on top of this mountain Moriah, building an altar, laying wood on the altar. And he laid his son on the altar. And God called to him. He said, Abraham. He said, oh, here I am. I remember where he told me to be. He said, don't do that boy any harm. Turn around, there was a ram caught in the bushes. He offered that. God said, now I know. In other words, you proved yourself. You put to the test. You passed the test. That's my goal. Pass this test. You were going to army. You sign up. You might be an infantry. Might be in the tank division or whatever. Artillery. And people can boast out, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. Then they have to pass the test. They're going to basically run them through buildings. You have to take your gas mask off. And the tears are snot running, you can't understand where you're going. And this is disappointing. Been there myself. Take the gas mask off and you feel like you got porcupine in your lungs. And you have to get it back on, clear your gas mask, and still function. You find out if you're training, if you got good training. I found out I didn't really think it worked. I got gas in my mask, and how am I going to do that? They did a clearing technique, and it worked. It's good to know that it works. It's good to know that God's plan works. You try it, you put the test. Find out you find out the love of God. Actually, is the greatest thing you've been. There's a lot of things that count on that they're not always prepared. go by a new car and you see them sitting beside the road. It might be a Ford, it might be a Toyota, it might be a Cadillac. I've seen them all sitting beside the road. Something happened. Something failed. But this love of God, Scripture says it never fails. Never runs out. Just stay with it. Well, there'll be times there shall cease, Scripture says. Charity will run. God's love. It's good to know this morning. Have something. Won't fail. Won't fail. So where's our hope? That's what you got to figure out. If we get frustrated because things fail, people fail. God's love. Peter stood up that day on the day of Pentecost and he said, this is that. I mean, if the prophet spoke and spoke and spoke, Joel spoke, he prophesied. Hundreds of years down the road, and it hadn't happened. But one day Peter stood up on the day of Pentecost and he said, this is that. It's happened. It came to pass. It was promised. The prophet said it was coming. And here it is. Peter could have said, there was a time I couldn't see it. He didn't think it was going to happen. He couldn't see Jesus dying and off the resurrection. It was far-fetched. Peter stood up. Here it is. It's here. God kept his word. He did what he said he'd do. We're getting to enjoy. We're getting to take it. It's happening. I pray this morning we'll have our whole thing in Jesus. Get your heart surrendered to him. Anywhere else, you'll be disappointed. But God gives you hope in him that helps you to keep faith in people. Because you know God is able to take and turn lives around. Well, you can't do it. You can't change it. You try. You can give them some direction. You can give them some pointers. You can give them things you've experienced. You can tell them what works and what don't. But it takes God to change the heart. I know it's got to change mine. This morning I'm thankful to know that He changed me. But I couldn't change myself. I wanted to. Tried to. I was determined to. But I had to get it in His hands. I had to take my life over and place it in His hands because I made a mess of it. I laid it down. I said, God, if you'll help, I'll serve you as long as I live. And I mean it. 53 years later, it's still working. It's still the joy. It's still the peace. It's still the glory. I appreciate it. It's God that won't fail. His love don't run out. Let's see what He's got for you. But your whole